So I'll say from like a red team perspective, right? AI is a tool and it's increasing my effectiveness by X%. Let's just say maybe around 20, 30%, depending on whatever I'm doing, able to write code POCs quicker. Maybe sometimes I'm asking questions of something. If I have like local models, it's great to kind of dump a whole bunch of data that I've taken from a engagement and then kind of parse through all that data at scale to find, hey, what's important in this data. So there's a lot of ways that I'm doing to kind of level up my skills, my effectiveness, and make me a more effective, red team operator. But it's not necessarily replacing me. A lot of the tools that we've seen in regards of, agentic AI that's going to do something, it's just not there. I don't think it'll be there for a while. There's a lot of great tools out there. Definitely products for sale like Expel or Cyber Auto Agent. There's a lot of like AI enabled tools, like so Burp has AI enabled on it, right? So there's a lot of those things that make you more effective, and tools like Expo, Auto Agent, great tools where they find certain vulnerabilities. They're great to find some cross-site scripting and some other things. So I appreciate that, to have like, hey, here's a finding. We can definitely deliver on that. But then can I take this cross-site scripting further where that, particular AI agent can't? So it can kind of help you with like that larger attack surface. But in regards of replacement, I don't think we're going to be there. And I don't think we're going to be there for a while. But definitely, if you're not using AI, you're going to be replaced by someone who is using AI better than you.
Hey, this is Dave Johnson.
And I'm Tyler Zito.
Welcome to the Job Security Podcast. We're here to explore the unique perspectives and stories of the people who make this industry what it is, whether they realize it or not. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Job Security Podcast. We're here to talk about the Red Team Village. Every year at DEF CON, the Red Team Village builds and fosters a collaborative environment for security professionals to develop and enhance their offensive security muscle. They're here to help take the theoretical and combine it with real-world application, trainings, conference events, CTS, and all sorts of networking opportunities. If you like breaking stuff and learning from your peers, the Red Team Village isn't just a nice place to visit, it's a great place to live. And I have with me two members of the Red Team Village, Mike Lisi, who's the current CEO of Red Team Village, and Wes Turner, who is Wes, I'll let you describe your role. Both seasoned cybersecurity veterans. Welcome to the show, Mike and Wes.
Hey, thanks for having us.
If somebody were to walk up to you and say, hey, what is Red Team Village and what can I expect? What would you say?
Well, the focus here, as you really covered on the intro, is that we're here to share our skills, share our knowledge with folks that are interested in offensive security. It's not necessarily just the advanced folks that are trying to transition into red team roles. That is, a big part of it, but we really try and cover across the spectrum of offensive security, things that they can learn, things that they can share, things that they can do. So at the Village this past year at DEF CON, we really focused on that hands-on aspect. So we had basically workshops where we had somebody come in and talk about a subject for an hour, 2 hours. More of your typical presentation, right? They had a big screen, they had a podium, they were talking. Then we had this other thing called tactics, which was really like a really small little task that you can learn, right? If you're just really curious about, maybe I don't want to dedicate an hour, I just want to learn about what I could learn more about, right? We had folks that were contributing to the tactics, and they would just show you one little thing, like, hey, here's a basic intro to like a buffer overflow, or here's something basic on API security. And you could just watch, you can interact, and you can participate, or you could just kind of hover and learn and then see if it, tickles your interest. So that's really what our focus is. And we've been really lucky in that the community really comes forward to share that knowledge, and everybody's not hugging it, holding it tightly. They're here to open that up and really let other people know how they can get better at offensive security.
I have a very simple question to ask on behalf of the people who are new to cyber a bit and still trying to figure things out. What is the difference between a red team and a pen testing type exercise?
You want to take that one, Wes?
Yeah. I mean, that's, a bit of a gray area, sometimes spicy. And a lot of it, kind of is the focus and the outcomes of it. So red teaming is more focused on objectives, whereas like pen testing might be on like coverage, right? And identifying vulnerabilities. Whereas a red team might, the goal is, not just like, hey, I want domain admin and every kind of vulnerability along the way, but hey, I want to access a specific piece of data, or, achieve like a specific objective, and kind of however I get there. So they tend to be a little longer in scope and duration. larger in scope and then longer in duration than your typical pen test. So that easiest way I would say to kind of summarize those two, but there's definitely a lot more nuance in there and kind of separating out what those two are. Mike, I don't know if I missed anything.
Yeah, well, I operate more on the pen testing space, which is why I thought Wes was good to answer that. So, in my focus, when we're doing penetration tests, our goal isn't to be covert. Our goal isn't to basically evade all the defenses and test like the reaction times of the defenders or the blue teams. Our goal is to find where those holes are, what those if they can be exploited, and then what those impacts could look like. And like Wes said, it's more comprehensive. So when we come in, I would say that, on a scale of, in my opinion, on a scale of like maturity, red team is for organizations that have gone through like the vulnerability assessments and understanding their assets and understanding their infrastructure, and then moving on to a pen test where it's like, okay, now we have a process of where are we lacking? Like, are we missing patching? Are we missing like specific, like real big things in our organization that we should address? And then once we have that matured, then we go into the red team, which is like what Wes said, where we have like real specific objectives, and we're trying to really test our team out to see like, hey, we think we've patched all this stuff, we think we've implemented these solutions. Are they actually working, and how well are we able to detect this stuff?
Is AI affecting that definition at all right now? Is that changing the way we're thinking about red teaming at all? Either the structure or the method. Obviously, the methodology is changing, but are these like agentic testing or potentially red team organizations? Are they kind of changing that perspective?
Sure. So I'll say from like a red team perspective, right? AI is a tool, right? And it's increasing my effectiveness by X%. Let's just say maybe around 20, 30%, depending on whatever I'm doing, able to write, code POCs quicker. Maybe sometimes I'm asking questions of something. If I have like local models, it's great to kind of dump a whole bunch of data, that I've taken from a engagement, and then kind of parse through all that data at scale to find, hey, what's important in this data. So there's a lot of ways that I'm doing to kind of level up my skills, my effectiveness, and make me a more effective, red team operator. But it's not necessarily replacing me. A lot of the tools that we've seen in regards of, agentic AI that's going to do something, it's just not there. I don't think it'll be there for a while. There's a lot of great tools out there, definitely products for sale like Expo or Cyber Auto Agent. There's a lot of like AI enabled tools, like so Burp has AI enabled on it, right? So there's a lot of those things that make you more effective, and tools like Expo, Auto Agent, great tools where they find certain vulnerabilities. They're great to find some cross-site scripting and some other things. So I appreciate that, to have like, hey, here's a finding. We can definitely deliver on that, but then can I take this cross-site scripting further where that, particular AI agent can't? So that it can kind of help you with like that larger attack surface. But in regards of replacement, I don't think we're going to be there, and I don't think we're going to be there for a while. But definitely, if you're not using AI, you're going to be replaced by someone who is using AI better than you.
Are there any areas that you're thinking about now where, as we lean further into AI for pen testing or red teaming or even defense, that there's going to be some soft spots left?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest things that you're kind of hitting on, maybe we weren't thinking this, but just kind of what we saw with like the IoT devices, right? Those old exploits, what's old is new again. We're seeing the same thing with the AI side. So what we're doing, you're essentially moving that trust boundary, right? So even if I have, a local model and I'm not, reaching out, a lot of folks, definitely are, exposing company data, right? Breaking that trust boundary with using those external models. Once we step into, let's say, like MCP servers, what we're seeing a lot is, hey, MCP server, it's great, it runs local. Totally fine, that trust boundary, you're at least, limited to that local host, unless you pop that devs box. It's not going to be an issue, but if you do, who knows what you have access to. So again, blurring the trust boundary there. But now that we want to scale that, so like that dev has that local MCP server. Now you have 20 devs that have the same local MCP server. Why are we not hosting this internally? Let's push that internally. Maybe we still don't have auth on it. So now you just have this exposed endpoint internal that gives you access, to a whole other system, a whole other set of data. So again, that kind of pushing of that trust boundary where you're sending that data. We're just seeing a lot of those older kind of vulnerabilities kind of resurfacing themselves. Auth is definitely a big one. A lot of the MCP servers, we're kind of seeing some aspects of remote code execution. Definitely both on the local host or if they're remote servers. So just to get a lot of opportunities there, whether it's the vulnerability side or where is our data exposed now. So being able to look for those kind of data exposures, those MCP endpoints, that don't have that auth, or maybe it's really simple auth that, you can just find recorded in, an env file somewhere. So Mike, kind of your thoughts?
Yeah, you touched on the main points that I convey when I'm talking to my customers. Number one is they're likely using it in some capacity, so let's make sure that they're using it responsibly, especially in industries where sensitive data exposure is problematic. Healthcare, financial, those types of things. So being aware of that is huge. The other side of it is, if you're looking at it from an offensive perspective, if they do have something internally there that they're leveraging for AI and it's training on all their documents and all their procedures and any of that other stuff, it becomes a really juicy target for attackers, right? You can go to one spot now and find out everything you want to know because it's all easily accessible now. So we're seeing some of those opportunities really arise in that side of it. And then also in the use of AI, like I said, we're seeing a lot of new vulnerabilities that are the same things that are that we've seen in the past because we're using, agentic AI for coding and those types of things, and they don't always implement security most effectively. So now we have these vulnerabilities that we thought we squashed really well in the past popping up again just due to those security misses that AI tends to have in those coding models and those types of things.
A lot of companies are embracing, right, the vibe coding, right? So with that mentality of like, hey, they're setting expectations. 30% of your code is going to be vibe coded. They want to see a lot more of that, right? And I think same thing, like we said earlier, in regards of, hey, AI is going to increase our effectiveness, right? But you have to responsibly use it. So if I just vibe code this, don't review it, looks good to me, hit push on commit, like, yeah, it's going to go horribly wrong. So again, having those safeguards in place, right? It's one thing, if you have some CI/CD pipeline, you're running tests on everything, that's great. But I'm sure we've all been in that loop of, hey, create me a function that does this. It creates me that function. I run it. It doesn't work. I tell, hey, I got this error. And, the model tells me, you're right. It doesn't work. Let me go ahead and fix that for you. And then you get stuck in that loop and you're just, like recreating that function over and over again, trying to get it to work right until you're able to ask it kind of better or, truly understand what that error is having. So I think we can't get away from it. And it's just, how do we do it responsibly?
I wanted to bring it back to Red Team Village. There's a lot going on every year. I was looking at the presentations that happened last year. Looks like a fair amount of it was around AI, but there was some OSINT talks, etc. Is there like aside from AI, are there some talks or topics that you're really excited to talk about as of late?
I think it's going to be dependent on the person, right? So I'm really heavy into web application testing, API testing, those types of things. So for me, understanding new ways of attacking those and like new assumptions that are coming out with all these new libraries and all these types of efficiency things, right? You have these new front end, back end, all these different ways to make the coding easier. That really changes how you have to approach the engagement from a testing perspective. So for me, just learning about somebody that is really deep into some of those subjects is always super valuable because you can either go really deep into something and learn a ton about it, or you can, be a little bit more general. So I like learning from those people that go super deep because it helps me in my capacity as trying to advocate for an organization across the board. So anything there is usually something that I'm going to watch.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I would say mine is focused on two areas, right? So obviously we've been talking a lot about AI, so I'll just quickly summarize it up. A lot of the auditability and like visibility, right? The observability of AI, like why did it choose to do what it did? What was the inputs and outputs? just as well as like kind of guardrails and how do we do this in a safe manner. So definitely loving that aspect and always kind of digging into those talks. And then on the other side, which is maybe not as red team, maybe a little more purple team, but it's security control validation. So as a red teamer, I can do some cool things, have a cool story. Hey, look at this awesome thing I did. But at the end of the day, right, if we're not improving our security controls at the company, why am I here? So a lot of kind of in depth of like, how do you improve your security controls? How do you validate that? How do you, create metrics around it? How do you, kind of raise that to leadership? How do you make the right investments into those security controls? So really partnering with, the blue team side and the organization at large to how do we ensure that we're kind of raising, our security posture across the org?
Is that something that you've noticed, just the encouraging and getting commitment from businesses within the results of testing? Is that something that's getting better over the years? Are you seeing improvement? And for context, from my experience, when I first started in this, pen testing was very minimal. There weren't a lot of tools. There was no formality around it. And basically you did it. And for the most part, they said, cool, thank you. And then they didn't change anything in their environment to support it. I've noticed some maturity changes and improvements in other realms. Are you seeing that too within the past like 5 or 10?
Definitely. So I think one of the biggest things, right, is as we, kind of partner across the org, kind of showing, hey, here's these vulnerabilities, right? Here's what kind of security control testing we did. And as that, org kind of decides, hey, I want to, pick a new security product. We're going to replace whatever, EDR solution. I went to, Gartner and I picked in the right quadrant for whatever tool, right? And I read all the marketing on it. How do I know it's effective, right? And that's something that we can offer is, hey, we do all the security control validation, do the testing, both of, hey, here's the existing product and then here's that new product, right? To be able to do those kind of demos with them and partner on them and show the value and like, are we moving in the right direction, making the right decisions? So in that regard, it's not, kind of changing that focus of here's this like adversarial mindset that we're always bringing to the table, where sometimes they might be a little more defensive and not as open to the testing we're doing. But when you're partnering with them to make sure like, hey, we want to partner and ensure that we're increasing, security. We show them the value in their decision making that we can provide. So I think it's a great opportunity there, and we see a lot more support and like that cross org kind of support.
If I were to walk up to the Red Team Village at DEF CON, and by the way, I should ask, where else is Red Team Village aside from DEF CON?
I mean, historically, it's largely been DEF CON. But as the community has grown around RTV, we've been getting more requests to support other conferences, other events, things like that. As Wes said, the village thing has taken off a lot. So you see a lot more conferences incorporating villages into their events. So that opens up some new opportunities for us to spread, our awareness and what we really drive, what drives the organization. But we also have like a lot of really awesome people on our team that want to continue to offer opportunities, right? Because DEF CON is expensive to get to, and we have some really awesome talks there. And people really want to engage in that and follow that and watch those. And it's not always possible. So one of the team members, Corey, he decided, hey, last year, we're just going to invite all those speakers back, or as many as we can, and just do a live stream for everybody that couldn't get to DEF CON, right? So just sit at home, watch it. You get the same people coming back, doing those workshops again. So we're trying to build on that a little bit more with the village, trying to be selective in where we're able to do because our funding only goes so far. But it's opened up a lot of new opportunities. Last year we got invited down to Brazil to do a village at Hackers to Hackers, and it was a really cool experience because now you're in this completely different hemisphere, and you're interacting with people that are just as passionate, just as skilled as anybody else that you meet. And it really surprised me at just like how much passion there was everywhere that we went. So right now, largely DEF CON. We have some other events and things coming up. But as we continue, we're trying to identify opportunities that more people can interact and come visit us.
So one of the things I think is if you're just coming in the village, right? I think what might not have been said is essentially a village is a small conference, right? So it's a conference within a conference that's kind of, focused on, a singular topic. So with that, a lot of it is just come on in. We always have, we have swag tables. So we're always giving out, some good, sweet swag. We appreciate all the sponsors for, making that happen and giving us some things to hand out. There's definitely the talks going on that you can, kind of peek around the corner, depend on LimeCon to kind of see what's going on, get a feel for some of the talks that are happening, the tactics, like Mike said earlier. They're very approachable. You can just walk up to them. We have multiple stations. There's usually always something available. They're 10, 15 minutes long, so you shouldn't have to wait long either. And then there's a lot of other folks, that are just hanging around, talking to each other. Maybe a talk had just let out and they're talking with the speaker afterwards. So there's a lot of opportunities, I think, to just explore and have a good time. We have a kids section as well that we've done for 5, 6 years now. So there's tons of opportunities. You can bring your family. I brought my son this past year. There's a lot of folks that bring their children as well. So there's a little bit of something for everyone, and I think you can find your way. There's tons of volunteers as well that are helping kind of shape it. So we like to, make ourselves as approachable as possible and reach out to those folks. If they're coming in, they're not sure what to do. We try to grab them and, ask them questions and kind of guide them around the village and give them that intro, and then hope they find something that kind of, resonates with them.
I did exactly that. I wandered into the Red Team Village and then, listened to a few talks, wandered over to the Recon Village because that at that moment, that was also really interesting to me as well. There is, for every one of these villages, the reliance on volunteers is huge. And whether you like to volunteer because you just like to help the community or you're in it for the swag, I mean, you guys have some of the best challenge coins at DEF CON. I'm just going to throw that up there. So if I'm, say, just a challenge coin collector and I like to volunteer for stuff at the same time, how do I get one of these? What do I have to do? How would I help?
Well, honestly, this is the advice that I give to most folks that are trying to get more involved in the community. When you're looking to build up your network, being a participant and an attendee at a conference, that's kind of the base level. You can interact with a lot of folks. You can make some connections. You can do, quite a few things there. If you're running it, obviously you have a lot of opportunity a lot of people are looking at you, right? You have a lot of visibility there. Somewhere in the middle is where you have the speakers and the volunteers. And I was a volunteer for RTV for a number of years before I got elected to lead everything. And by volunteering, I had this whole new experience of a conference that I never had before. And I established some really strong relationships with folks that had similar interests to me. So I would sit down, and there's another volunteer who's like, hey, what do you do? And in this case, it was my friend Ken. And he's like, oh, I help run Red Seer security. And, we do red teaming and stuff. And then we got to collaborate on work opportunities and talk and establish a relationship. And that's something that really wouldn't have happened as easily as if I were an attendee. So you establish some really strong relationships. That's awesome for growing your network, especially for folks like Wes, who works, at a really large company. Other folks like at RTV, we have folks that are working at like Google and Cisco and, really big companies. And if you have a really strong relationship with them, you're going to have a much easier time if you're looking for a job or you're looking for connections or anything like that. So I really advocate to volunteer for anything that's associated with something you're interested in, because then you're going to really establish some awesome friendships, some awesome networking opportunities, and you never know where it's going to take you.
And then there's also the opportunity for parties as well. I managed to make my way into the Red Team Village party this year. It was a fun arcade experience. And I noted that you also had a ton of vendors as well at that party, which as a vendor myself, I thought, hey, this is great. Can you talk about like how somebody could get involved as a sponsor or vendor for, say, your party or the conference? Like what sorts of things are you partnering with and providing to vendors in order to encourage sponsorship?
Well, that's a huge, challenge for us every year, right? We want to show value to our sponsors, right? Because, they give us so much each year, and we're always trying to figure out how do we give them back, show them off what they're paying for. So one of the things that we run into, especially in the new space, right? So DEF CON definitely has the rules on, what we can do with sponsors and what's available. And then in the new Las Vegas Convention Center, they have their own set of additional rules. So we found it, kind of restrictive, and it was tough to figure out, how do we, give back to our sponsors and show them the value? So one of the ways that we did was that party. So we appreciate, takes decent amount of money to throw that party. And we want to make sure that we're not just taking money and throwing a party and having a great time. That how do we give back? So luckily, the spot that we've rented the last few times, there's a nice outdoor area, large enough that we can invite all of our sponsors to, and that we don't have to worry about kind of breaking any rules, whether it's with the convention center or DEF CON. And we're able to kind of give them that free reign in that area. And it's off to a side. So, if you want to get in and get some more swag and talk to our sponsors, you can definitely get over there and do that. Or if you just want to hang out and party on the arcade side, like great times, either way. So it's something that our sponsors, all of them, have given us like resounding feedback of how awesome it is in regards to, the engagement that they can have with everyone that's attending. Again, it's hard to kind of balance what size the party is, but we get quite a few attendees. And all the sponsors, they love that engagement. Each one of them says, whether they're looking to hire or looking to make, customer acquisition, things like that. They will make quite a few contacts during that.
Yeah, we're evaluating options now because of the fact that we're having opportunities to attend other events, not just DEF CON. We're trying to figure out what makes the most sense from a sponsorship standpoint, from a fundraising standpoint, in order to support this stuff, because everybody that's part of RTV is a volunteer. There's no salaries, there's no compensation, anything like that. There's reimbursement for travel and things like that, but for the most part, everybody's doing it because they love doing it. So we're always looking for opportunities that help from the vendor side or the sponsor side to make sure that it's valuable.
So for anybody listening who's looking to spend their sponsorship dollars, should they just go to redteamvillage.io/sponsors and contact you there, or is there a better way?
Our email address, just sponsors@redteamvillage.io, is the best way to reach out. That page that you just mentioned is where we demonstrate all the folks that have sponsored us over the past. So we associate it with the event, let them know, who helped make that event possible for us, make sure that they have some credit out there for everybody that's looking to learn more. So that's the place where we keep all that stuff now.
As far as volunteers are concerned, how do I get involved as a volunteer?
Yeah, the volunteering side is fairly similar to our presenter side. So once we have an event picked out, if we need volunteers, we'll throw out some messages on our Discord, through email, through Twitter, X, whatever the case may be, letting folks know that if they're interested, they can sign up. We usually have like a Google form or something similar. We can collect all their information to reach out for that. But essentially, it's a call for everything for DEF CON. We'll put it up there. It stays up basically right until the event starts. And we really like to incorporate a mix of returning volunteers and new volunteers, because we want people to have that experience and have the ability to become a volunteer. And at the same time, those that have volunteered in the past, it really helps us rely on them showing up and being there. So it's good to have that mix to ensure that the village runs smoothly. A few times we've had some people that just never signed up and they just came and said like, hey, put me to work. And we gave them a badge and we just sent them off. And, in one case, they're going to be joining the team here pretty shortly. So it's just come talk to us if you're interested, and we're going to find something, because there's no lack of things that we need help doing. So please reach out and let us know.
And if I need my Red Team Village fix outside of DEF CON or outside of, it looks like you were at B-Sides New York as well, NYC. How do what other things can I do throughout the year in order to participate?
Sure. So B-Sides Philly will actually be up there. That's, I think, December 5th or 6th. So we'll be up there. And then District Con, that's in Washington, D.C., January 24th and 25th next year. And then again, like Mike mentioned earlier, we've done streaming events throughout the year. And we're always looking to partner at some of these other kind of villages and figure out what makes sense. So one of the awesome things about, the community with Red Team Village is that we're all kind of spread out across the US. So luckily, a few of us kind of based on the East Coast with Mike and a few other folks. So B-Sides NYC was easy to kind of make happen, where we all just went to NYC, hung out for a day. Same thing with B-Sides Philly. We're just going to go up there, drive up there, hang out for the day. and kind of bring Red Team Village to that B-Sides event.
Last question. Well, I have two final questions. First, are there any books you would recommend that people read to really get into Red Team Villaging or just Red Team in general? And why are all of them this one?
So shameless plug, I actually don't have one in front of me right now, which I wish I did, but there's one on Mike's shelf back there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Redefining Hacking, you were a co-author in that. Can you tell us about this book?
Sure. So again, I'm just a lowly co-author in that. Huge shout out to Omar Santos, one of the Red Team Village founders, and then Savannah Lazar, another one of the previous co-leads with the Red Team Village. So just happy to kind of be a part of that awesome little crew there to work on that book. But it was essentially a love of about a year or so, a little over a year worth of effort to go into making all that happen. And again, just trying to capture a lot of the talk around quantum computing, AI. How do we integrate that? What are the thoughts as things are evolving in regards to again, pen testing, red teaming, and just cybersecurity in general? So definitely love that book. Appreciate Red Team Village and kind of making it happen. So at this previous DEF CON, we did a signing. We're able to sign out 50 copies and give them away to everyone. So love that. And then, I think we're all kind of thinking about what's some new cool opportunities going forward. Maybe there's another book.
As far as new things, so people who are organizing, planning Hacker Summer Camp for next year, and they're signing up or thinking about signing up for a village, what new things are happening next year at Red Team Village? Is there anything planned, or is it more of, hey, we're going to do more streaming, etc.? What things should I be looking for in order to once I sign up to volunteer or attend?
Sure.
One of the big things that we really enjoyed this past year was the introduction of those tactics. What we saw was just this round table with somebody that was knowledgeable at a topic, and then 20 or 30 people just all huddled together talking about it. It was like a very communal sort of thing. It was way less formal than sitting in the audience and just watching one person speak. And we really want to expand on that more, because I feel like that gets into the heart of that collaboration and that, community building aspect that we really like about the village. And I want to expand on that more and have some more people participate in that. We're looking to improve on the way that we can support those, right, through the platform that Wes and Barrett have created for the CTFs and things, so we can support those tactics, whoever's leading those tactics, an easy way for them to deploy it and support it, and then be able to participate and present those to folks at conferences that we're in attendance with. I don't know if we're going to do a ton of streaming, but as far as everything for Hacker Summer Camp next year, I would say stay tuned. We're really start our planning about the beginning of the year. After August comes by, everybody wants to go into hibernation for a little bit, so we're really just starting to get ramped back up again. We have a call later today actually to start talking about it and introduce some new members. But yeah, our website usually has the information that's most up to date, as much as we can be, regarding upcoming events, what we need, what we're looking for, and where we're going to have things going on.
All right. Well, thank you both for being on the show. I greatly appreciate it. I'm excited for Red Team Village next year. I'll be there. And we'll see you then.
Awesome. Looking forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on. Enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Job Security Podcast, sponsored by Expel MDR. This podcast was co-hosted by Dave Johnson and Tyler Zito and was produced by me, Ben Baker. If you've enjoyed what you heard today, please consider giving us a glowing 5-star rating and review on your podcast app of choice. And be sure to follow us on YouTube for more cybersecurity content at youtube.com/@expelsecurity. We'll catch you next time.